Today on the Extreme Channel, we're reviewing this washed up boxer, most well known for stopping Gandalf the Grey in his tracks.
You shall not pass!
That's right, this is Balrog. And I don't know exactly in his life period when he met up with the Fellowship, but at one time he was a street brawler. So Pop Culture Shock Toys, who is now called PCS, made this statue of this awesome character from Street Fighter. And today, we're going to answer one question. Oh yeah. As the Extreme Channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we're giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the Extreme Channel. Today we're looking at an older piece because if you've watched the videos lately, I'm selling off all my Street Fighter 2 statues. Because Balrog here, believe it or not, is not from Lord of the Rings. It's a different Balrog. No relation, at least I don't think so. But I'm selling off all my Street Fighter 2 statues at the end of the month. But before I do, I thought, you know what? Why don't I review them? So Balrog is a character from a Versus video game that made its appearance, I believe, in the 90s. And the other day, I was playing 1942 on my MAME arcade game with my oldest son. And I was telling him when I was young, we had to go to these arcades, and every time you died, you had to put in another quarter. He is so spoiled. But I remember Balrog was a bitch to beat. And when Street Fighter 2 came to systems like Super Nintendo and whatnot, and we got the Championship Edition, you could actually play as Balrog. And if you learned how to do him correctly, even though he couldn't kick, you could kick some ass. He had some deadly combos. So he was also one of my favorite characters to play. You can kind of see a theme. All the ones I've been reviewing, I'm like, these were my favorite characters to play. Well, that's why I bought them. So we're going to sell him, but before we do that, we're going to do an extreme review, touch on all the traditional categories, but we are going to start off with concept. Now, this was part of PCS's original line. The two pieces I reviewed recently were part of their Ultra line, which essentially meant they had a really fancy base, where this is a plain black museum style base. I'm not a fan of these on any statues at all. However, there's not really a lot of Balrog statues out there. I did see a custom one teased recently, which looked pretty badass. But the reason I don't like these, they're kind of boring. And I understand statues are works of art and they're kind of a museum piece. And I understand the purpose behind museum bases, but they're just not for me. He's standing there in a museum pose as well. He has a little bit of action to him, but you see him with his boxer boots moving up. He's a very thick, girthy, bulky guy, which he should be because he can kick your ass in one punch. He has what we call mixed media, which is a fancy word to say he actually has fabric clothing. It's not actually sculpted on. As you move up farther, he is actually hitting his gloves together, so you're assuming he's ready to fight. He's got a very, very menacing look on his face. I love this character right here. I think this looks great. One of the things we've talked about with the Street Fighter lines is you can actually put them pairing off against each other. They're all kind of in that ready to fight pose, and he is no exception. Now here's the thing, when I grade the score on the concept, I'm going to downgrade it because I don't like museum style bases because let's face it, my gradings are my opinion. And while I think this is really good, there's not a lot to it and it is a little boring, but I still give it a 3 out of 5, which is a good score, but it's not above average, it's not great. Design is fairly simplistic on this guy. There was an exclusive edition we're going to talk about, but this is just the regular edition, so what you see is what you get. Now I believe he's all one piece minus his portrait in the base, so very easy assembly, very displayable. This is 1/4 scale, meaning he's 4 times smaller than a real life version. The diameter of the base is about 10.5 inches or so. And the tallest point is about 17.5 inches. Now, I think the mixed media works well on him. It's interesting. Some of the Street Fighter pieces are this mixed media and some are sculpted, but they look okay intermixed together. Now, one thing I'm going to say negative, because PCS did a few different lines, some were the regular with this museum base and some had that ultra base like this Ken review I did right here. They look weird facing off against each other. And they didn't make every character of every single line. So if you wanted every Street Fighter character, that's kind of strange. I think that's a negative. Now this is the regular version, as I said. They made an exclusive. The exclusive had this portrait right here. And then all the pieces had this portrait that I have on mine. Then the exclusive not only had the 2 portraits, but it had a robe and different color of boots and pants. That was pretty cool. So it was almost a totally different variant of the statue. So the exclusive was definitely a lot better, but I think I got him for a steal. I bought him for years and years ago on eBay. And as we've talked about in these reviews, these pieces really don't hold their value. So I think the design's a 3 out of 5. I think if I had the exclusive, it might be pushing a 4 out of 5. Paint and sculpt, again, is very decent on this piece. I think they did a nice job, but let's look at some close-ups. So keep in mind, this guy was a while ago, but I think they still did a nice job. Black Museum base has no imperfections on it. A little ridge around the side, so it's not completely boring. Still pretty boring. Now his shoes, kind of hard to tell in the lighting here, but they are a very dark brown, so they're not the same color as the base. This is completely sculpted, so I like what they did where it's stitched up. The only really messy part of the paint is at the top of the boots where it meets the skin right there. Little bit messy, but otherwise I think they did a really nice job. There's a few creases in the back, folds, to show that, you know, kind of action position he's in. I do like his anatomy. Like I said, he's a very bulky guy, but I think they did a nice job showing those overemphasized traits you would see in a boxer. Not only his obvious biceps, triceps, but you see his shoulders, his forearms. A lot of veins going around in here. Almost too much, but if he's flexing that hard, I think it does well on the statue. Same thing about his legs. Really quick, I do like this fabric. I like this material, the shine of it. It's held up over time. It's interesting, his undershirt is ripped up, and I'm not sure why they went in that direction, but it still looks good with the statue. Maybe it's video game accurate, but it looks like a real boxing outfit. His gloves, I really like his gloves. I think they did a nice job. Crazy buffalo on it. Again, you see the stitching in it, some darkened shading areas around the wrists where the bandages are, and then the thumbs. They look like real boxing gloves. They did a very nice job on that. His portrait has these green eyes, almost like jaundice eyes. And again, I don't know if that's a video game accurate or not, but I like his expression. I like the coloring on his skin too. I think it's a nice shade. His hair could have been a little bit better, but again, they're kind of basing it off the game. There's not a lot of differentiation between the strands. Even on a buzz cut, you would see like this. There is a seam line. We didn't talk too much about that, but the portrait's done well. Not bad at all. And really, that's it to this guy. And not a lot going on, but pretty solid. I'm not going to say it's amazing or the best you've ever seen, but I really like it personally, which is probably why I own it and I bought him. All right, so paint, very clean. I like that a lot. You know, there's not a lot they had to do because of the mixed media, but it's a nice material, so I'm going to include that. I think the paint is still a solid 3 out of 5, a strong 3 out of 5 for what it is. The sculpt as well, they could have done a little bit more micro detail like you've seen in some of the newer pieces. This is an older piece, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's a 3 out of 5. While we don't rate older pieces on value, it's good because I couldn't even tell you much. I do know of the regular edition, they made 200 of these, and of the exclusive, they made 175. I'm guessing the price point was around $300 or $350. I think he even goes for less than that now. But if you're going to do a whole Street Fighter collection, I mean, hell, you could do 2 of them for the price of one 1/4 scale war tank. So does he have the X factor? Clearly, this is not a 5 out of 5 statue. Clearly, they could have done better. But you got to remember where it was for its time. So I do like the statue a lot. I think it's a solid 3 out of 5. It's a very good statue. If you include the value you can get them at, I'll probably sell them pretty cheap. We'll find out here at the end of the month. So make sure you've not only liked this video, but you've subscribed to the channel and you've hit that bell notification to see what I'm selling besides him and how much he goes for. But I got one more review coming up. Let's see if you can guess who it is. So throw that down in the comments below or what you think of this statue as well. And the reason I ask you to comment is because of this. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Again, guys, thank you so much as I go through this process saying goodbye to these pieces. It's bittersweet. So make sure you've subscribed to the channel if you want to pick some of these up or if you want to see what prices they go for. Hit that picture of me. Drop me a like on the way out. I really do appreciate it. It helps the channel a ton. Talk to you soon. Check out some of these other videos.